Board games, it's what we're talking about. Board games, I'm not gonna shout. I am starting off this morning with a little bit of singing, and today you're going to find I am talking about In a Bind, and I am doing an unboxing. Hopefully, the feedback that I hear is not too distracting. Please, can you let me know? Regardless, we've started, and away we go. Good morning. I am Bez, and this is the Bezzy Breakfast board game Blether. Oh, hello, Alan. It's lovely to see you. So, um, bring up the banner. Bez Lunch board game Blether. So, and hello, Nick. It is lovely to see you. Oh my gosh, it is so hot. I have my usual drink of orange stuff. It's kind of um, effervescent stuff. Oh my gosh, this is quite distracting. I really should have done a test run at some point late last night, just a wee one on Twitch or something. But regardless, let me talk about In a Bind. Now, I think I'm going to add this to my stream. Oops. So this is In a Bind. It is a game that I started a Kickstarter for 6 years ago. It was almost exactly on the day. Morning, Andrew. It is lovely to see you as well. And so, yes, this is quite a trip down memory lane. I guess there's little things to talk about. The fact that if you look carefully, starting with D1, whoops, there. So it kind of looks like In a Bind. It was the closest that I could get with a barcode. What if you kind of see the two as a N and so forth? It kind of says In a Bind. Do you see that? The first edition of the game was not shrink wrapped essentially because, I didn't ask for it. The second edition, I asked for them to shrink wrap because it was a bit damaged later on. Gosh, sorry about these technical difficulties. Let me top testing. And yep, I'm just going to see if I can do something. How can I? Oh, apparently the phone doesn't allow me to go below a certain threshold. That's a weird one. Anyway, maybe if I put on headphones, it might fix this problem. Alan, so the numbered ones are not the first edition. That is the In a Bind expansions, which is a totally different game. Now, let me talk about how Bez Day started. The way that Bez Day started was, at the start, I decided that I was going to launch this game In a Bind, and I wanted it to be in shops at a certain point. What day should it be in shops? Hey, why not the 1st of August? That seems like a good idea. Now, this is the first time that I've actually opened one of these in about like 5 years. And so, I'm just going to open it. It's like I've still got about 20 copies. And oh, this one's got a wee bit of a ding on the inside of the packaging. That's not ideal. Yeah, they were fairly cheaply done with tuck boxes. This is how it looks. A lot of the game was thanks to Ben Neumann, who we're going to see later. And a lot of the inputs of the game was also thanks to Forrest Bauer, a marvelous reviewer, who gave me the idea that actually, if you look at the original instructions, it's all fast and furious on this side, and then variants and slow and sadistic. There's a lot of big text, probably slightly bigger than it needs to be, but hey, why not? I obviously hand wrote all the text because that seems like a nice way to give it a little bit of an individual personality. And I still go by what it says. In your hands, you hold the best party game of physical constraints. Test your body, twist and contort as you draw your next card. Perfect for pubs, stag hen do's, general merriment, and meeting new friends in the park on sunny days. And that is all stuff that actually happened. So it was mainly tested in pubs. It was, people told me that they played it on their stag do's, which I was really excited by. And a lot of the testing for the promotion was on the park on a sunny day. I don't know why it puts a PG-13. I really didn't know about it or back then. 15-ish minutes, 3 to 10 players. Yeah, that's approximately correct. I would probably take down that 10-player mark nowadays. I would maybe say 3 to 7. I don't know, 3 to 9. Get some. I'm quite happy with how this game was, how this box was. I mean, there's a little thumb tab, and you kind of get it goes in, so when it's closed, you can still get to see the purple of my hair. This is being a self-portrait. And yeah, all the legal stuff that you need. In the far-flung future, there will be no violence. Wait. Are you saying that I'm muted? Can you hear me? Okay, other people can hear me, so it's all good. Okay. Or maybe Xates just meant that I'm muted, as in Xates has muted me. That's totally fine. Yeah. Going to do that and get that scrolling on the bottom just in case anyone pops in so they know what's happening. So as I was saying, in the far-flung future, there will be no violence. Oh my gosh, what a lovely dream that would be. No longer will people fight over cleaning rotas, musical tastes, or global ideologies. Disputes will be settled through games of physical constraints. One such game ushering in a global age of peace will be In a Bind. I'm quite proud of this because, yeah, it's kind of a mixture of whimsy and positivity. And obviously, I don't actually believe that. I mean, I talked to Xates earlier about the difference between expectations and hope, and I genuinely hope that this one day becomes true. Not so much the bottom 2 lines, but certainly the top 2 lines that, okay, we won't fight over cleaning rotas or musical tastes or global ideologies. I mean, yeah, we'll see what happens. Anyway, it's me, inabindgame.com. I don't know if that's even leads anywhere anymore. Your challenge of simple instructions, each must be obeyed until the end of the game. As the game continues, people will be struggling, then fail. The goal is survival. Now, fast and furious preparation, shuffle the deck, place it so everyone can easily reach it if you need to split the deck. That was a key point. Like, splitting the deck, people don't realize how important that is, because if you've got a really big table with maybe 12 people and 6 on one side and 6 on the other, you can still play it. But you need to split the deck. Anyway, so, yeah. In turn order, draw a card from the top of the deck, read it aloud so everyone can hear, start obeying the instructions, always obeying previous rules. This is all the rules of the game, these 3 things: draw, read, and do what it says. Some cards will be placed on your body. At least a sliver should be visible. Hiding them entirely under clothing is not allowed. Now, what I like, I mean, sorry, this is going to be self-aggrandizing. This is just picking myself up. You know, when I play a party game, I want it to be clear. Yes, I want it to be joyful. Yes, I want it to be ridiculous. But I also want to say, hey, are you just allowed to tuck it under your bra strap? Yes, you are. Are you allowed to put it in your choker? Yes, you are. Are you allowed to put it... Am I allowed to put all these cards? I'm going to use one of the Yogi cards that because it's washable. Could I put it like that? No, I couldn't because it's not visible. And the key point is so that A, people can see whether it falls down, and B, it's funnier. So, yeah. All the other cards should be kept face up in front of you so that everyone can easily see what you're meant to be doing. After you've read your card, the person to the left can start their turn. Every player going clockwise does the same, losing the game. If you stop obeying a card's instruction, even for a second, you instantly lose. If you can't draw a card, you lose. Now, I realize that technically what this means is that if two people are amazing and they get to the end of the deck, the person who cannot draw a card because they finished the game, like they finished the deck, would be the loser and the other person would win. That was never my intention. Now, I have heard of two people who actually managed to make it all the way through to the end of the deck. And what I heard was that they just started staring at each other in a stare-off, saying, okay, who's going to collapse first? Whose muscles are going to fatigue first? And yeah, it's what's with any party game, with any game where you have real-world physics, with any game where you have real-world negotiation, you're always going to come up along some edge cases which can't be clearly covered by the rules, and just do whatever is fun. If everyone else has lost, you are the winner. You're allowed to dance in celebration. You're also allowed to not dance in celebration if you don't want to. Hopefully that's implied. You're allowed to do anything else in celebration that you might want. I mean, obviously with informed consent. Be honest, even if no one notices, admit your failures and resign. And this is important because this game is meant to be difficult. This game does lead to muscular fatigue. I think that's the right word. Yeah, this game leads to, oof, this is difficult. And this game leads to tiredness. And so actually being out of the game is not such a terrible thing because it'll only last 10, 15 minutes and then you're back in again. And it's funny to watch. And you've got to be harsh because if you're just, oh, it doesn't matter, you dropped your card, here, have it back. Or, oh, you didn't quite do that, but here, have it back. Then, you know, it's just going to carry on and drag on. That's why these two rules, be harsh and be honest, are super important. If you notice someone mess up, call them out on it. Defeat is brief. As the game is short, then you can all play again. Thank you. Now I'm going to try to open this. Maybe I should have brought a knife. I don't know. Ooh. Oh wait, there's a little rip tab somewhere along the side. There we go, I found it. Unboxing. This is a monumental unshrinking. This card touching two hands. Yeah, this is definitely one of the hardest cards in the game. I think this kind of illustrates the sorts of, you know, okay, if you look at the card that the person's holding, they're holding their own card. And if you look at the cards that they're holding, then that person's holding their card in a kind of badly rendered way. And then if you look even closer, no, my phone isn't going to focus on that. Let me see. Okay, but you can just about see some vague shape. And even there, it's just actually say discard to. So I quite like that. And yeah, this is kind of a 70s person. This is two arms touching. I try to make all the silhouettes distinct. I try to put a really bold outline around where the relevant parts of them. Left elbow above shoulder. This isn't based on anyone. Hopefully, again, with the big black outline, it tells you exactly what's going on. And here's a little alien with just one hand for some reason. Hand on a knee. Oh my gosh, this is a really hard card. And frankly, this is the one card that today I'm not sure should be in this deck. Well, as in, I don't believe that it should be in Yogi. I believe that it should be in Yogi Guru, which I think is over there, so I'm not going to run to get it. But basically, what I don't like anymore is that this box now has one card that is about the lower body, which is hand on a knee. And it feels slightly unsatisfying that it broke this pattern. And so anyway, hand on the knee, that's a really hard card. This card on top of head, that's easy if you tie up your hair, of one eye closed, like a little moomin person, cute plant person. Javier asks, how long did it take me to draw each card on average? I would say for the actual final artwork, including this illustration and the text, the final rendition took me about 2 hours, but there was some extra work involved in doing the kind of sketches and so I would say maybe if I divided all the bits, maybe about 5 hours, because there was a lot of original sketching and then redrawing. I just realized that we skipped past one of the people who is actually based on a real person. So this card on top of head, this is based on Joao, and I don't know if you can see clearly, their t-shirt says Spellbound. And Joao has their little tribal tattoos. This is based on a person who for a while had dreads and then had short hair. And this is a lovely person who ran a Magic the Gathering shop and all sorts of CCGs going on. I hope that's answered your question, Javier, by the way, and thanks for tuning in. So yeah, that's, wow. One eye closed, one finger touching neck. I like to have some whimsical animals, and why not have a creature with a big neck? Now, I should point out that this is not a dinosaur. If you look at even its hind legs, something freaky is going on with just hands instead of back feet. I think I was quite inspired by, do you know that film Return to Oz? Who's watched Return to Oz? Oh my gosh, do you know those little people with where they drag themselves forward and then they have the roller wheel things? I mean, that film has so much freaky stuff going on. I love it. Anyway, that was a big inspiration for that one. Upper teeth visible, just kind of trying to be a little bit non-conforming with variety of clothes. Here's Frankenstein. Here's like just a big monkey. It's like, okay, what? Sometimes it was like, okay, what suits the card? Okay, one finger touching the armpit. What does that inspire? Well, it's kind of like I'm a monkey, isn't it? Ooh, that's a stereotypical thing. And so why not make it a monkey? I mean, it turns out to be more of like a bear creature. At the start, it was more like a normal monkey, but then it kind of turned into like a bit more humanoid, especially with its six-pack and kind of slightly chubby overhang and everything. But there you go. Left hand above elbow. This is one of my favorite pictures. I quite like how it's just a tiny little person and a giant's hand in front of you. Right elbow touching torso. Right hand above elbow. Oh, this one, even though it wasn't an actual commission, this was kind of based off Acme. I can't remember the real name. This was based off one of the, well, maybe, yeah, it was based off a couple of different graffiti artists that I knew in Glasgow, and that's kind of what they generally look like. Oh, this is based off Jess. There you go, my friend Jess in Thailand. I don't know if you can see that. And I don't know if you are watching, Jess, or if you'll see this after the fact. But there you go. This is the first time that I'm using this second camera. Let me know if you're hearing any feedback, because I am hearing feedback from the phone. Unfortunately, I can't turn that off. Any technical tips are welcome, but hopefully it's not too bad on your end. Anyway, this is... I think that when I started drawing, I just immediately started drawing all these people based on people that I knew, because I wanted to start off that way. And then I started off looking up pictures of people like Selena Gomez and stuff, and then yeah, it. I wanted to make sure that the faces were all really different. Here's like someone in dreads, just being like, oh yeah, left palm face down. This is another commission, so I think this is the second commission. Let's keep them separate. So the second commission, this was by Richard Williams from the RPG community in London. They paid on the original in a bind Kickstarter. There was an option where you paid about 50 quid and then you could get yourself drawn. Now, what Richard asked me to do was to draw a red panda. And he said, I don't actually want to be drawn myself. I just want you to draw a red panda instead of me. Is that something that you could do? And I said, the cards aren't going to be in color. I can't draw it in red. And then Richard explained, oh no, a red panda is an actual creature. I Googled it. I was like, oh my God, I've never heard of this creature, red panda. I think red panda is very closely related to a tanuki in Japan, or maybe it's the same thing. But anyway, this is a black and white rendition of a red panda. Right palm face down. This brings us back to the, what do you do? Well, it kind of reminds you of a zombie, and it's a bit grim, like all that blood. And if you look very closely, oh my gosh, this camera isn't working as well as I hoped it might. Can I get it to, maybe if I take this away, it'll focus on this instead. Wait, Red Panda's a Firefox mascot. What the hell? I mean, I thought Firefox mascot was a fox. What? Okay, there you go. Wow. Anyway, so yeah, you can't quite see this super clearly. Oh my gosh, I didn't realize how bad this close-up camera was going to be. At least it works for long distance, so it's going to work for playthroughs. But if you look closely, I promise you, you can see a bit of brain and a dangling eyeball, and there's like little ribs with blood and entrails going all over. It is quite gory. I think this definitely deserved its PG-13 rating. This is obviously the Queen, because yeah, it's just funny having the Queen giving you the thumbs up. Oh yeah, the red panda is also the quality beast, but I knew about red pandas. I don't know when was Quality Beast started, because I feel like maybe I drew that before Quality Beast. And thank you, Andrew. It was a lot of work. Now, this is a little farmer just giving you right thumb pointing down for no reason, saying, I don't like you, and you can see their little sticky out tongue face. I've got to admit, when I drew this card, I did kind of show it to a couple of friends to check in for cultural sensitivity. And there were a couple of cards that I drew that my great friend Liz, who, fingers crossed, we might be, don't give them any pressure because they're not quite sure. But if we see my friend Liz tomorrow, I'll definitely be sure to thank them. I forgot about this. But basically, I asked them about cultural sensitivity for some things, and they said, yeah, that's not great. Having like a Hawaiian kind of hula dancer, that's kind of playing into these tourist stereotypes. That's not a great thing. And similarly with, when I first drew it, so it was like, okay, how many female presenting people do I have? How many male presenting? How many kind of non-conforming, non-binary people do I have? And I was quite surprised to realize that, okay, even though I'd made an effort to try and keep it equal, just maybe because of this internalized patriarchy, I didn't have a good balance. And so that's why I did work to then change some of the people. And then you have like, okay, here's a farmer who happens to not be male, which here's a punk rocker just kind of being like, hey, having a bit of fun. And what I quite like is the little bits of their t-shirts. It kind of, yeah, it's got like a little love hearts, and yeah, I try to keep it faded. Also, one thing that I should note is that I did have a thin black outline around the actual person, but yeah, just So the rest of the shading was all done in pencil, but the shading around the objects that I was focusing on was done in pen. I think I could have perhaps made that slightly darker. But here on this one, you can probably tell a little better that just, okay, this is darker. It draws your eye in. And here's another commission by Andrew Dennison. Andrew Dennison, this is the style of what someone might be drawn as. They like to cosplay as Mech Warrior, and yeah, it's just when people gave me the commissions, when I was thinking, okay, what would it work for you to be? It was somewhat arbitrary. It was also what makes sense for this person. Here's Neil Bowser Milne. Here's another friend who also paid me a wonderful source of support. And there's like Neil, they're a lovely person. And yeah, spent many good times together in Glasgow. There's a little cowgirl. Here, oh my, Gabby. So again, you can tell like this is where my pen shading really came to the fore. It's kind of dark here, drawing the eye out, and you can see a little familiar bear because this is based on the photo that they asked me to draw. And I'm happy to say that everyone was happy with their renditions. Some people have an Adam's apple. I mean, it's not totally obvious, but here's a female presenting person having an Adam's apple. Here's an elf with big ears. And here's this card touching left eyebrow. Here, I think this is based on Edmund Kapusniak. I can't actually remember. Was this a commission or was this just because I like Edmund so much? Definitely lots of this was for just, hey, here's something that I'm going to, yeah, when I'm drawing people, I can't just base it on, okay, what's the default face in my mind? Because then that way it comes to be like, okay, if I think of the default face, you're naturally going to think of yourself. You're naturally going to think of the people around yourself. And sorry, what are you talking about, Nick? Oh, Noddy wants, are you talking about big ears? No, this isn't the original big ears. Yeah, this is maybe Big Ears' sister or something, or maybe their mum. Anyway. Oh. Yeah, I don't know if I can solve the sound issues. Someone will need to give me tech advice later on in this time between now and 2 p.m. Let me know if you have any. Maybe I'll get a little bit closer to this microphone and maybe that'll alleviate the issue a tiny bit. I'm doing it through StreamYard. I'll explain later. So this card covering one eye, obviously it was about, okay, what animals have big eyes? Well, stereotypically, it's a fox. The sound is coming out through my phone and I cannot mute that for some reason. Ooh, unless maybe I can plug my headphones into the phone. Hey, testing, 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Okay, I hear myself again. So it is intensely annoying for myself. But at least you guys can't hear it. Oh, what if I just take the headphones off? Yeah, that solves the problem. Oh my gosh. Yay, brilliant. Oh my gosh, yeah. This is so much better. Now I can't hear myself and you can only hear me once. Oh, tech troubleshooting. Oh, thank you. Yay, we have sorted it. This is live. This is like the first time I've ever done a double camera setup. Anyway, so yeah, I thought, okay, what's an animal with big eyes? I could have created an animal with big eyes, but I wanted to have a frog, and yeah, it was just funnier to have a cigar in there because it just seems funny to me. It's maybe like that. It's a weird one. Going back to those old cartoons like Disney's Pinocchio and Disney's Dumbo, they are actually incredibly subversive. I know that someone told me that Dumbo was the part of the reason why they started drinking, and Pinocchio was actually part of the reason why they suddenly started smoking. And I don't want to do that. I really don't want to encourage people to smoke. And so maybe it was a bad choice. And so I'm not super happy about this cigar. In retrospect, if I'd really thought through, I should not have had this cigar. And that is a slight. Ah well, hindsight is 2020, eh? Now again, what animal has big ears? Well, clearly a mouse, and clearly a rabbit. What animal has a big nose? Well, I don't know, but maybe a sort of humanoid winged birdy person. I mean, now I look at it, it kind of looks like Uncle Rick from, do you know Rick and Morty? That face kind of reminds me of Rick, except for the nose, obviously. Yeah, I could have gone for that. A proboscis monkey. Feel isn't the name slightly different from it, but yeah, I just like kind of doing that. This card was originally Desperate Dan, and I know that originally I was doing a lot of copyrighted stuff until Ben Neumann said, you know, you don't need all this copyrighted stuff. The game is good enough on its own. Why are you having this copyrighted stuff? Is it and it feels like you're just a bit insecure about yeah. So this is basically, imagine that Desperate Dan had a female presenting alter ego, and this is that person. So yeah, Desperate Dan, this card between chin and chest. Now here's another card involving the neck, and what better animal than the ostrich? Although this ostrich is a bit crazed. This ostrich was originally I thought of Joust when I was drawing it, and yeah, maybe later on I'll show all the original drawings if I find them. But yeah, there was some, I don't know why I kind of did all this parody stuff. It wasn't a great idea, and I'm glad that Ben Neumann talked me out of it. Ben Neumann was so instrumental in the creation of this game. But now it's kind of like alluding to people like this could be, you know, maybe a well-known action hero person. You know, it could be multiple people. Frankly, it's like, you know, gorgeous six-pack leather trousers, big boots, and being like, boom, check out my shoulder muscles. Conversely, for the right shoulder, this card on right shoulder, it's more of a chubby Dr. Zeus style animal with yeah, weird fingers and sticky out belly button. But probably Dr. Zeus wouldn't does Dr. Zeus draw the nipples? I can't remember. Yeah, I'd have to check. But yeah, I just think it's fun to kind of be little bit like, okay, here's some whimsical creatures. This card, it's definitely not a commission, but it's vaguely based on a different friend of mine. I mean, I don't know if they'd feel comfortable with me shouting out their names, so I won't. But yeah, it was very much okay. I see that person. I'm kind of looking at their body shape. I'm looking at their face shape, and this is, to me, what they look like. Obviously, as a stereotype, as a kind of not caricature. That's the word. And this is another person that this is actually based on a friend who sent me a picture of their lovely bubbly hat. And yeah, just some lovely winter clothes. And I was like, oh, that's such cute clothes. And hello, Michelle. It's lovely to see you. And happy birthday to you. And I'm just going through all the cards and talking about the memories. Now this is this is of myself. Um, yeah, you can tell because I always draw myself with a unibrow and a big round nose, and yeah, this is myself in a little waistcoat and skirts and boots and some VHS tapes wrapped around my body. And I used to at one point have zigzag sideburns. There was a time, true story, when I worked in a Whole Foods market and on one cheek I had a fish. True story. I shaved, as in it was kind of like a temporary tattoo. Basically, it was kind of nicely trimmed stuff. Um, have I received any different feedback from right-handed and left-handed people, or did it always feel the same for everyone despite their dominant hand? Well, I am going to say that there's no preference given to particular orientations in this game. Everything like touching. So if we go touching left elbow, oh, you've just seen the one problem. This is the. I'm not going to call it the misprint. This is the miss. I don't. I don't even know how I did this. Sorry. I'm going. Yeah, this is kind of like. What was I thinking? I was doing it late at night. I was under a lot of pressure. And for one of the cards, wait, that's my right elbow. So this was meant to be my right elbow, and this was meant to be left elbow. Apart from this mistake, it was meant to be equal. This card's in armpit, right shoulder, neck, chin and chest, right ear, left eyebrow, and right eyebrow here. Right index finger, left index finger pointing up, left palm is down, right palm. So there is a slight difference that the only ones that so for these two cards, I am going to say for right index finger touching nothing and right pinky touching nothing, it seems like it would be too hard to check for people to keep this touching nothing if you had to keep both. It was like, okay, I'm picking up this card. Oh no, I didn't manage to do it. And I want to give people some flexibility. I want to say, okay, between two fingers, you can do it that way, or you can do middle finger touching palm or forefinger touching palm. You can do that as you want. And if you do it all on your right palm and you get all the things, then you do that because, yeah. But apart from two cards, index and pinky, everything else is basically independent. So it's thumb pointing down and it's right palm, left palm in here, left elbow above. Okay, yeah, you've got the left elbow above shoulder and right hand, left wrist bent. You've got. I want to talk about this card. This card is the worst card. This card was the one card that was taken out of Yogi. Right hand above elbow, left hand above elbow, right elbow touching torso. And yeah, you know what? I was completely wrong, caveat. It is clearly very different for the right side and the left side. I mean, it shows how long it's been since I thought really deeply about this. It's been 2018. Yeah, 2018, I think, was when I submitted the files for October 2018 was when I did Yogi Guru. And that was the last time that I properly pondered it. Because, so let me just say that all of these cards are simultaneously possible. I just want to point out that if you have a finger touching ear, nose, mouth, chin, neck, that's 5 fingers, and that's very specifically decided. And then you have, all the cards, trust me, you could do the cards, and then you have that above your elbow, right hand above that, cards on the back of hand, and then right elbow touching torso, and then you can even draw cards. You've got to have the hand on the knee. But if you do this, basically what I'm saying is that it is all simultaneously possible. Please believe me. Because when I was inventing the instructions, when I was writing them down, I did do a lot of work to make sure that it was simultaneously possible. Now, I've not had any feedback specifically based on right hand and left hand people. I do think that probably there's, oh dear. all good. I think there's probably enough variance and luck in the game. Yeah, what was that first? No, the discard touching two hands. Yeah, if you get two hands touching, two arms touching, and then let hand on a knee, for example, you are in a far worse position than someone who has finger touching here, finger touching no. Because you're only having a small subset of cards, and there is variance in the difficulty, and I'm okay, I guess, with that design choice. I guess it's not in an ideal world. Maybe every card would be a similar level of difficulty, but then would that be better? Because then you wouldn't get the relief when you've got, okay, here's a card that I can just about do, and I can manage to do it. It's easier than I was expecting. Or, oh my gosh, here's a crazy card. Now I've got to do all this and keep hand on a knee. How am I going to work this out? Whereas if it's, okay, one eye closed, then yeah, one eye closed. You can do that fairly easily. But no, because of the variance in difficulty, I have never had differing feedback from right-handed, left-handed people. Hope that answers the question. And just to let you know, all questions are very welcome regarding all of this. Discard on back of right hand and left hand. Oh, yeah, I think even though this isn't definitely Maggie Rostron, it's very much inspired by Maggie Rostron, who you will see later on. That's Maggie over there, Dr. Maggie Rostron. So I think, yeah, that's kind of very suitable wear for doing aerobics, sports bra, short pants, and doing a quality handstand. Difficult move. If you can do that, and yeah, if you can get your hand to do that, then boom, that's a way that you could get it into the back of your right hand. Not that I would recommend it, because you really want to be able to move your hand around to be able to pick up another card. So, I mean, if you really want to be cheeky, you do what Patrick Burke did. And Patrick Burke came to one of my competitions with, like an armband, a headband, like all sorts of, like those, what are they called? The wee bubbles. And then just kind of put something like that around your hand. And then, boom, if I do that, that's never going to fall off. And that's totally legal, even though it's a bit cheeky. But yeah, if people want to play to that level of difficulty, this is a game which I kind of hoped that some people would take it to that level, come into a competition equipped with like some sorts of suits, like pre-preparing, and I was so happy when Patrick did it. One finger touching here, another rabbit. This is my lovely friend Liz, who you might see later on. So that's Liz wanted to be drawn as a mermaid. The tattoo and the piercing and stuff. Liz has slightly different hair now. And yeah, this is Maggie Rostron. This was Maggie Rostron, also like little double tongue piercing and a kind of studded bra, which Dr. Maggie or no, it doesn't say in the rules, no double-sided tape or rubber bands. Explicitly, again, you are allowed to use these things. Yes, companies in a bond, if they want to start using bands, that's totally something that they can do. Morning, Alex. So yeah, companies are allowed to use these things. And so yes, if companies start equipping themselves, if companies prepare themselves with hairbands, then they might get up to like 20 cards without too much of a problem. It is going to get insane depending on how much companies decide to prepare. So yeah, it was totally legal. And so yeah, this is probably my favorite picture, and also annoyingly one of the pictures that So I took it to what's the name of that those people? The people who run the Family Zone at UK Games Expo. Nigel runs it. Someone can someone remind me of the name of Nigel's company? Not Nigel. I can't remember their surname. Imagination Gaming. Is that it? Imagination Gaming. Yeah, Imagination Gaming. Anyway, I think they run the Family Zone at UK Games Expo, and they've done it at Terracon, and they do a lovely thing going around schools and showing games to children. And yeah, Imagination Gaming told me that the cards that adults did not like out of all of these were this card and this card. Now, I kind of expected, okay, maybe some parents don't want their children to see boobs, kind of feels a bit weird. And then this was the other card that parents didn't want people to see, which was really disappointing to me. Because, yeah, it's a pole dancer, but that doesn't mean it's disgusting or pornographic. It's like yes, dance is inherently sexual, and dance, like as a form of moving your body, you could make a case to say that any form of athletics or sport is sexual because it's all about showing your prowess, showing your how good you are for the genetic pool. And yeah, pole dancing, I don't believe that pole dancing is more sexual than salsa necessarily. Yes, it could be, but I mean, it's not clearly not a lady firefighter. These clothes are clearly not suitable for firefighting. Come on, you'd be wearing a lot more stuff. Um, um, I'm not familiar with that malacham, but anyway, this is Maggie Rostron, and I just found it quite sad that I drew this beautiful picture of Maggie Rostron, and then some adults are saying, no, this is not suitable for children. And going back to the frog, where's the none of the adults said that this was unsuitable for children. And honestly, like if I were to show it to my nieces, okay, drinking, but this is something that I would not. As a kid's game, this is one of the cards that's I'm like, yeah, I'm not sure about this. And I think part of that is that I never really saw it as a kid's game. I saw it as an adult's game. I saw it as a game for adults to play whilst, drinking maybe, whilst having a bit of fun. Exactly what it says for pubs, stag/hen do's, general merriment, and making new friends in the park on sunny days. It doesn't say anything about playing it with your family. But in retrospect, how did I not realize that it was a family game? How did I not realize? That was silly of me. Maybe I just wanted to. Maybe I just want. Maybe I just love the notion that party games, that silliness, it doesn't just have to be for kids. I mean, Jungle Speed, it's a great game by Yako and Tom. I'm sorry. One of the designers' names is definitely Tom. One of them is anyway. But yeah, that's a great game, and I've enjoyed it as an adult, and I'm sure I would enjoy it again on a future day. And we can enjoy things like Happy Salmon. I would almost argue that Happy Salmon is better when it's not a 5-year-old playing alongside a bigger environment. And yeah, hello, David. It's lovely to see you. Thanks for joining in. David Brain, I can't remember. I think David, did you even play the original In a Bind? I mean, I know you had definitely helped a lot with Yogi Guru, but it's so lovely to see you. And yeah, hopefully we will see each other in real life at some point in the not too distant future. I was just talking about key markets the other day. Thank you very much. So this is David Brain. The yeah, when were we? When? Oh yeah, it was last night. We were talking about key markets, and oh yeah, we were talking about you also because you invented Giftable, and we enjoyed it as always. Anyway, so thank you very much, Javier. So I think that in my mind, I was going for a slightly, I don't know, Tim Burton-y Return to Oz, slightly creepy almost feel for some of these people. Yeah, this is vaguely inspired by Einstein, but it's not quite Einstein. And this is, I believe it was a commission from Ed Ross, another person who supported me financially. And people have said that this card is rude, but I am doing this. I'm not reversing my hand. I am doing this. Look, you see the fingers. It's clearly this. And some people see this card and then they say, okay, I need to balance it. And then they manage to do it. And I'm quite happy for them to do it because that's making the game harder for themselves and maybe more enjoyable. But if what my ruling is that as long as it is on top of the middle finger, so you could actually end up doing something like that, as long as it's on the middle finger, so as long as it's physically touching and physically above. That's my definition of on. If anyone ever wonders what the designer means by on middle finger. And I know that Simon Caruso, I'm going to be talking through that art later. I like the way it's subversive. Yeah, we did hear the name David Brain a lot. I mean, I try to credit designers of games that we play, and we just had a big David Brain and Richard Breeze, and who else did we talk about yesterday? Alex says, it's a bit of a vicious cycle. Companies pigeonhole games to try and market them effectively, but now when you buy the game, you're pushed into the same pigeonhole. And I don't know if Shigamic would ever want this, but I would be interested to sort of push a slightly more adult. I don't mean that it has to involve your, naughty bits or anything like that, but I mean that, yeah, I can't remember if I've popped that up or not. So yeah, I would like kind of, okay, here, let's have a maybe limited color, something that looks a bit less cartoony. I would love to have a new edition of Yogi that's kind of like just a totally different treatment. But they've paid so much for the 54 cards. Yeah, that I'm sure they wouldn't want to do just special editions like that. Lovely to see you, and see you at 2 p.m. And so just so everyone knows, we are playing In a Bond at 2 p.m. and Alan Paul is going to be one of the guests, and I'm super excited about that. Anyway, this is the other card that I think is very subversive for children. Now, it might be someone just on a cold winter's day with their breath and their... Oh wait, my camera froze for a moment, it seems like. So yeah, if you look at their right hand, yep, the right hand on the left here, there's a cigarette or something, and there's a little bit of smoke coming up. I'm actually going to have a close look. I need to put it right to my face. Yep. I should definitely bring out the original art for some of these. Yeah, that's definitely... It could be anything that is cylindrical and smoking. So there's someone who's, got bare feet and, is kind of looks a bit lackadaisical and, maybe half dropped eyelids. And yeah, that is a bit subversive for kids. I'd probably be fine showing it to my own kids, but I wouldn't be comfortable showing it to other people's kids, is the truth. Yeah, I mean, matches don't quite smoke so much. I mean, it might be rolled up bits of paper or something. Um, Here's someone with very big forearms. Congratulations, you, whoever you are. Discard on right forearm. And here's Gotcha, my great friend Gotcha. And so, interestingly, the first picture that I sent Gotcha, and I think I did like 3 versions, and then Gotcha said, "Hey, I prefer this version because of you've drawn my moles." And then what I realized from that was that I kind of maybe was a bit worried about showing someone's flaws, but the flaws are what make a person. Do you know what I mean? And in some ways, to become comfortable with yourself, you have to embrace every part of yourself. I mean, yes, Gotcha has a mole under cheek and a mole under forehead and, little scraggly hair. And, I have to, at some point, embrace or be okay, at least, with the fact that, yeah, I am a hairy person and I would prefer it in many ways if I wasn't, but that's the way that life is. And so maybe there's a lesson for all of us there in kind of, yeah, embracing our bodies however they look. Yeah, I'm sure that this was based, I think this was based vaguely on Kessel or someone, like just a bunch of people that I'd kind of met at board game conventions. Another person with a very big nose. This isn't actually human. They've got elephant's ears. Why do they have elephant's ears? Well, why not? Why not have elephant's ears? And Alex says that's a good message. Presumably not about why not have elephant's ears, but about embracing your, body. Yeah, this is possibly my favorite character. I mean, some of the things I just started drawing and then it just kind of worked. And where else? Oh, thank you, Xate. That's nice. And I had to draw a creature with a big mouth. I had to draw a creature with a big finger. Also, I wanted to reinforce the fact that a thumb is a finger. And a thumb is a finger for purposes of this game. So here we have basically a sort of sharky, fishy person, and it's going along. It's got this, but it happens to have human arms because, hey, it needs human arms. And I don't know if I would have necessarily drawn that otherwise. And yeah, there you go. That is one of the characters that actually appears also in Inabind Jr. And final card that we've got is one finger touching chin. Just a person with a really big chin. A ridiculously big chin. I mean, does that even look like a chin anymore? I don't know. And finally, there's these 2 cards. Now, what I intended for these cards was for them to be kept in the box. For people to be like, okay, I'm keeping these 2 cards in the box. I'm keeping them, and maybe at some point, I'll have an idea. Let's finish reading the rules. And oh yeah, in a bind, the back of the cards, that was, if anyone cared, this was drawn with marker pens. I believe I already had my favorite pens at that point, Stettler Lumocolor Bold. Can I find one? Here is the pen that I like. It's the one that I want. One that I want. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Stettler Lumocolor Bold. Here's the medium and here's a bold. Medium's also pretty good, but, bold's really where it's at. That's what I used for all the type and everything. Is that for the outlines? I think I used, it was strong markers. I can't remember the brand, but yeah, marker pens for all of this. This was drawn on white paper, and then I scanned it in, and then I increased the things, and that was that. And so that is all the cards of the game. Let me finish off by reading through the instructions, because I think that this is important. So variants. Remove cards for a longer game. If you find the game too difficult, try removing these 6 cards. This card touching both hands, 2 arms touching, left elbow above shoulder, 2 hands touching, a hand on the knee, and this card on head. Those 6 cards are the ones which cause people the most potential physical pain. You should know that I'm definitely not removing any of these cards. Indeed, I'm adding the crazy difficult cards from Yogi Guru for today. If somebody seriously struggles with a card, feel free to remove it, customize your deck however you want. Now, I have played this game with people, with wheelchair users, and I removed the hand on the knee. By removing the hand on the knee card, it doesn't mean that it's easy for them, because you still need to lean over and draw the card, and that's something that's a little bit easier if you are able to stand. But it means that my point is, this is an inaccessible game. If someone has part of their body that's not properly working, then make up house rules. Make it work however you want for yourself. Warnings. If people are still struggling, you can allow them 1 or 2 warnings before they are disqualified. Maybe the winner of the previous game can take a break and judge. Now, slow and sadistic mode. I want to talk about slow and sadistic mode. This is how the game all started. Now, the original version of the game, I'll probably talk about it a lot with Ben Neumann later today. I'm fairly sure Ben's with us today, aren't they? I hope they are. Fingers crossed. Anyway, you'll hear more about the history of the proper history, but slow and sadistic mode is the one that came first. So and said, for Xate to play, we take out all the cards involving hands and arms or legs or feet. Yeah, for some people, obviously, you just can never play it properly. Pardon me. So, this is for gamers who want choices and enjoy picking on other people. This is my favorite way to play. Slow and sadistic setup. Shuffle the deck. Deal each player 2 cards. Place this deck somewhere everyone can reach, splitting it up if required. Slow and sadistic turn order. First, you play a card. I really should have put that into bold. Put it face up in front of someone else. Read it aloud. Then you draw a card. You should always have 2 cards in your hand. Your victim has... Yeah, I never actually said that your victim has to actually draw the card. These rules are not the best written. It should say your victim then has to start doing the card straight away. If they ever stop, they lose. Your victim has the next turn, then their victim takes the following turn, and so forth. And this is a really interesting thing that I'm kind of proud of. So 2 people can be picking on each other back and forth. So it's really super political. So people can be like, okay, I'm going to give you this evil card. Okay, I'm going to play straight back on you. Okay, I'm going, and then or someone could be like, well, I'm going to break this thing. I'm going to play on someone else. And I'm really proud that it doesn't just go around. This makes it slightly easier. It also makes it slightly easier to remember whose turn it is, because it's okay, you play a card, then the person has to start doing it, and then the person who's now doing it plays the next card. And it makes it deliciously sadistic and political. And just like the Fast and Furious game mode, you lose instantly when you break a bind or are unable to draw. The last surviving player wins. This is, for me, even though this is not the mass market version of the game, for me, this is the real In a Bind. Or Yogi. Or, yeah. I do want to remind people who are watching who never have heard of In a Bind before, this is a game which I've licensed. So Yogi is definitely not a rip-off. You can tell because it has my name on the front. There you can see Behruz Bez Shahriari. Yogi is by Gigamic, and this is the Japanese version, which I'm really happy to have. And it says sorrow, then something, then Janai no yo Yogi wa. Yeah, I can't read the kanji, but I can read the katakana and hiragana. If someone can read kanji, let me know properly what it says. And I don't actually know what the words mean. I can just read them out loud. And yeah, thanks to them, it has been translated into so many languages, and I'll probably go over that on Sunday. But yeah, for me, the slow and sadistic mode, Fast and Furious, the default mode in Yogi is kind of more accessible. It's something that you can play with all the family. I can play it with 6 players or 5 players. There's never any hard feelings. You're just kind of drawing a card, reading it aloud, do what it says, and then it's a bit silly. With this, it's okay. Who am I? I'm going to pick on you. Mwahaha. I think that this card could tip you over the edge. Okay, and sometimes you've got 2 cards. It's like, okay, which card is going to be more difficult for someone to play? And that's something that we brought back into In a Bond of that sadism, and I'm so looking forward to it. I feel like In a Bond is the other thing I like about In a Bond is that people like Sates who don't want to play physically can play as the traders. We'll talk about In a Bond later, but yeah. Unfortunately, Alex isn't actually there today, I don't think. Team games with many players. I recommend forming teams of 2 or 3. I am going to say that I improved the rules to this between Yogi and Yogi Guru. So please do, yeah, I wouldn't recommend these rules anymore. These rules are... So each team should be considered 1 player, and you can play either Fast and Furious or Slow and Sadistic, depending on your tastes. Anyone on the team can physically draw or play the cards. At least 1 player on the team needs to do each bind. You can do the same bind as a teammate, so they can stop during their bind and have a quick stretch. If 2 people do the same bind, that's insurance. And that is the whole team game. Now, what I realized, like for Slow and Sadistic, that is still the way I would play and try to make sure that they're equal. But if you have teams of different sizes, for Fast and Furious, just draw as many cards as you have people in your team. So if it's 1 person, draw 1 card. If it's 2 people, draw 2 cards. If it's 3 people, draw 3 cards. I would argue that there is still a benefit to having a 2-person team as opposed to 1 person, or indeed a 3-person team as opposed to 2 people, because you get to distribute them slightly more favorably to yourselves and work out, okay, exactly where is it good to have these cards go. But I do want to say that drawing as many cards as are people in your team at least balances it, and at least means that if you don't have an exactly divisible number of people, you can sort of still enjoy it. Now here's the interesting bit. P.S. There are 2 blank cards. Use them to replace damaged copies or invent your own. Have fun. That is what I wanted to say about these blank cards. And I was really hoping that people would be inventing their own. Like maybe I would see people coming up with cool ideas and you shuffle them in and then you... But I would find people all over at conventions and I would say, hey, have you used your blank card? And if they would say no, then I would offer to draw one for them. Like I started saying, hey, what's your favorite animal? And then they say, oh, unicorn. And, okay, the card is whenever you draw a card, flutter your eyelashes like a unicorn. Or another one was like, okay, whenever you draw a card, based on some of the noises and stuff from the expansions, which I'll unbox tomorrow. Now, the expansions, all those noises, there were design decisions. I mean, it doesn't make the game any harder. It just makes the game sillier. It probably ramps up the variance and difficulty. But I found that I remember someone in a small cafe in Edinburgh buying in a bind for a small child. And I was there. And then the child started drawing a card. And I was so happy. Because it was like, yeah, they've played this game with the owner of a cafe and they've enjoyed it. They've kind of had fun with it. And then they get it out. And they're like, oh, I'm going to do this. And then they start drawing. And then I went over and then I, had a wee chat with this little person. I didn't take any photos because of age, and even if I had, probably wouldn't have been. Yeah, the Guardian wasn't entirely okay with that, but it was like such a marvelous moment. This was at a small tabletop board games cafe in Edinburgh that no longer exists. Um, but yeah, and I saw Alan Oughton recently drawing a card that was very close actually to one of the cards that I had drawn. I think it was the what this card touching armpit. Now, I guess I could talk about the card quality. I mean, they aren't amazing. Um, if I hold it up like that, literally right now, I can see what's on the front of this card. Like I can read through it just with the ambient light of outside coming in through my window. But, and I was a bit disappointed. And if I had been aware of that beforehand, I probably would have paid extra to not have that happen. But in retrospect, does it even matter? Does it matter that you can see the card from behind if you kind of hold it up like that against the light? No, it doesn't. If I hold them up like that, two of them in punts. Yeah. Anyway, so that's a little trip down memory lane. So there we go. And this is a brand new, never played copy of In a Bind. There's not many of these left. Oh yeah, I forgot the warnings. Stay healthy. I recommend you stretch before and after this game, especially if you're very competitive. If you feel fatigued, overstretched, or in pain, please stop playing. Forfeit the game. Listen to your body signals. I mean, I was genuinely worried that at some point someone was going to do themselves an injury. This was both to prevent people from being idiots and also to, Americans especially can be a bit litigious. Also, take care of your surroundings and don't break things or spill drinks. Here's where I get maybe a little bit. I accept no responsibility for any injuries incurred through your idiocy. If in doubt, consult your doctor. Dinna be a numpty. I don't know any other rule sheets that tells people to dinna be a numpty. If people are not familiar, dinna be a numpty basically means do not be an idiot in Scots. And yeah, it probably offers absolutely no legal benefit, but it gives me joy that that is there on that part of the box. And I am going to say that it is a slight hassle fitting it in. I don't really like tuck boxes, but that is. I do not think I will ever use tuck boxes again unless it's for a budget version of a game that I'm not sure if it would exist otherwise. Why is this not going in? See, this is the problem with tuck boxes. Slip this in here. Neat. And tuck. And so that was In a Bind. Back then, with my red t-shirt. You know, it's interesting. I drew myself in red, but like I just saw Xate's comment. I hadn't actually started wearing red as a brand thing at that point, so it's just entirely fortuitous because even back then I guess I knew, yeah, red's a good color. It's going to stand up well. And making this red, yellow, purple, and blue because, yeah, those are good colors. And yeah, this is a thing I made. I think that in total I printed 1,000 and some number because Card Monday went slightly over. I think it was something like 1,063 of the original. And then when I did a reprint, I did another 2,000. And yeah, I sold most of it. I think afterwards, like there was maybe a box left or something. I had to That's yeah. If I were if I were allowed if I were allowed to do my own version, because I know there has been examples like Gavin Birnbaum, has a really interesting deal with QE where they are allowed to do something like, I think, 50 copies of their game whilst Board Game Tables continues publishing it. And that's really interesting because 50 copies is not enough to bother any um, things. The contest entries are going to be shown off tonight, later tonight. And so, yeah, probably when Jason comes, that's 1 p.m. ish. And yeah, if I were allowed to do a small number, like obviously this is something that I mass produced. I printed like 1,000, and if I were to say, okay, every 20 years I will print 1,000 copies, I mean, I guess maybe a company would agree to that. It's going to be like, okay, every 20 years, 1,000, that's like 50 a year. That doesn't seem like too much, and it allows me to do a different art treatment if I particularly want. Honestly, I did really enjoy drawing all these. I really enjoyed drawing the things that were for people. I was happy that um, everybody seemed satisfied with their drawing. A lot of anxiety went through my mind because this was the first thing that I ever mass produced, and the only way that I actually managed to get through it was to say, you know what, I'm not going to, this isn't going to be the end. I'm going to make a different version of it. I said that, hey, there's maybe going to be a new version of In a Bind, potentially every year. Why not? Like maybe just the original, a different typographical treatment. And I guess that's kind of what I'm now doing for Wibble plus plus. I was about to say the L deck, where I am moving towards having categorical and couple, and I want to have other artists. And Miles is doing a great job on couple, and I'm really excited to get categorical properly finished and made. And I'm going to, on Monday or Tuesday, spend like a good chunk of the day doing a second draft of all the cards and then making a new version of the categorical deck. I am looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to having a day where like it's kind of self-sustaining, and I can be like, yeah, I'm just going to concentrate on drawing some cards because I do like drawing. And so I'm proud of what I made. I'm proud of the fact that you can do all of these cards. There's literally 53 unique instructions in here, except that one was a mistake, and I talked about this. There's 54 unique instructions in here because they corrected it. Oh, shoot, I never talked about the Jess card. Should I talk about the Jess cards? Okay, very quickly. I'm not going... Basically, Jess's card where it's right hand, right of right elbow. So the card literally says right hand, right of right elbow, and... Oh, you can't see me. So right hand, right of our right elbow. So that means, okay, right hand to the right of this. So do I... Okay, if you think about it logically, it makes sense. That's what I'm asking you to do. If you need your hand to touch your face, as long as you tuck your elbow in, it's still possible. Now, right hand, right of right elbow is one of the hardest cards. But it had comprehension issues. That was the problem. The problem is that a drunk person can understand all of these cards instantly, but didn't get right hand, right of elbow. Wait. And I saw so many people being like, okay, does it need to be this way? Maybe they get their right and left mixed up. And why did I need to specify right? Like, yeah, because that was the instruction. But right hand above left hand, that is so much better because having X above Y, okay, I do say this card on back of right hand, this card touching right index finger, touching nothing. But that's because it mattered. I needed to do that to have a bigger variety of cards. And I'm proud of the variety of cards that I managed to pull up. I'm proud that now there's, I believe, 40, about 90 cards all in total. that you can do simultaneously. I'm really proud of that, and I think that there's a lot of design work that went into that, and I don't think that, yes, the basic idea is super simple and someone could replicate that really easily, but I think that there's a lot of design that went into this, and also this, or that's just the version that I have most to hand. But yeah, I'm proud of it, and so my proudest moments are when I see that someone's kind of been enjoying it recently. And I'll probably look at the Board Game Geek comments later on today. Yes, I've got some terrible comments from people who hate it, and that's fine, because as Alan and Charlie, wonderful, wonderful friends, and I think it was Charlie who said, yeah, if you make something, that someone's saying this is the worst of that garbage, if they hate silliness, then the fact that your game is the worst of that garbage actually means that it's epitomizing what this is all about. So I'm really proud, and I hope that it continues to bring people joy. I will admit, these cards are, up until today, if anyone, yeah, like I said for a couple of years, if anyone's got any trouble with their in a bind cards, then I would replace them, but I'm not doing that anymore. I think that 5 years is like about, I stopped selling it at the end of 2016, so it's been 17, 18, 3.5 years. I think that 3.5 years kind of finishes my statutes of limitations somewhat. But I do believe that these cards, even if they get ripped, even if they get a bit mangled, even if someone chooses to put them in their mouth for some weird reason, it's still playable. You don't need to have perfect cards, just enjoy it. And yeah, thank you everyone for watching. Oh dear, I just realised that I never did my normal sections because I was so distracted by this new table cam, as I call it. Let me know, are you seeing this smoothly? Are you seeing my wiggling fingers? Boom. For me, it's quite tricky. But let me talk. Yeah, do I need to do the basic things? To finish off, brilliant things, brilliant things. Here's a little thing which is brilliant. Brilliant things are elbows. Elbows, you could push something with your elbow. You could draw a card with your elbow. Sometimes I have. You could squeeze two things in between your elbows. And I do want to say that, according to me, the crook of your elbow is still your elbow. So if the card says this card inside your elbow, so this card touching elbow, then this would be fine because it's inside the elbow. Hope that makes sense. And let me get rid of that. And recent highlights, loving life and seeing the sights. Recent highlights. And my recent highlight is having a bath. It's been a while. Not only had showers for a past while. So recent highlights, yay for that. And games. What have we been playing? What are their names? Tell me, what are your recent highlights and games? Maybe, you know what? Maybe I should do this when we come back. But I played that game yesterday, Giftable by David Brain. It was very good. I always enjoy it. I'm biased because it's for the L deck. And oh, I like your pun. The elbow. I like what you're doing there. Oh, thank you. What's the next section? Oh yeah, I should say, if you've enjoyed this, then I meant to start. I'll do a better job tomorrow now that I'm kind of familiar with this whole 2-camera setup. Do feel free to comment, ask questions, follow. And what am I looking forward to? What's my hope? and ambition. Now it's over to you for this final section. Hope and ambition. And what are we looking forward to? Let me know. So I am obviously looking forward to. You know what? I am going to have. Admittedly, it's kind of cheap stuff from Lidl, but I'm still going to have some prawns and some calamari in a wee bit. I'm looking forward to that. Just putting it in the oven. I'm looking forward to just get seeing how In a Bond goes. And now that I've got this 2 camera setup going on, maybe I can have a bit of paper. I don't know. Show some tokens and have people's names and be writing things down and even be making like little score pads or stuff. And and Alan Alton said that they've been listening in while walking, so no video. I know most of the pictures on the inner bind cards. It works very well as a podcast, by the way. Well, I'm glad to hear that. And yeah, if anyone wants to do the technical stuff of ripping the audio off and uploading it with credit, please include a credit and link to all my stuff. And you can absolutely do that if you want to upload it to podcast stuff. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the 2 p.m. That is the thing I'm most looking forward to. Because Bez Day is this weekend. It's today and tomorrow and the day after. It is technically right now, it is, oh my gosh, it is already 1st of August. It's somewhere in Kiribati. I can't remember where, but it's definitely 1st of August somewhere. I was looking it up this morning. So that's it. There is an LDEC design competition that's closing tonight, and we've already got quite a few entries. If you weren't aware of this, but you have an LDEC or you have some idea for something, well, give it a go. Feel free to pop in an idea. As long as I can play it using the rules, you will get video feedback. Now that we've got this camera, and hopefully I'll be able to raise it higher and that's all work for future games. I'm quite excited now I have this. Let's see. Wow, my phone is insanely hot. That's like so hot that it would damage you if you touched it for very long. I'm not exaggerating. Now, tell me, what are your hopes? What are your ambitions? Do you have anything that you're looking forward to today? Are you looking forward to the 2 p.m. in a Bond? Are you looking forward to me showing you pictures of Xate literally tied up and of Alex singing a beautiful song? If you want to check me out, I'm stuffbybez.com, twitter.com/stuffbybez, instagram.com/stuffbybez, twitch.tv/stuffbez, facebook.com/thingsbybez, stuffbybez@gmail.com, and I am also on YouTube, and I need to find the little thing to send it in the comments. So this is comments. All destination. Oh, brilliant. So we've got more LDEC entries on the way. I'm so excited to hear that. I thought that they were all done. So yes, there is still about 12 and a half hours left to get your LDEC entry finished. Loads of time, seriously. I mean, yeah, 12 and a half hours. Well, now it's 12 hours and 29 minutes, but yeah, it's all good. Xate is looking forward to In a Bond, and it's going to be technically Xate's first game to actually exist. Well, kind of. Okay, maybe not. Well, I guess the question is, should In a Bond be on Board Game Geek? That is a question. I mean, I feel like I should make the rules available, and so yeah, someone else should make. I feel like In a Bond should be on Board Game Geek. I think someone else. Yeah, feel free to submit it. Someone else if you want. So recapping, talking about the two-thing camera system has worked well. In a bind, I enjoyed doing the drawings. I think that some people like them. I think that it's definitely a little bit less family friendly than Yogi, but I'm proud of what I made. And yeah, thank you everyone. Thank you. Oh my gosh, this is going to be a long thanks. I'm not going to get through everyone. Firstly, thanks for everyone watching. Alan Paul, Nick, Andrew January, Alan Oughton, Javier, thank you so much for chiming in. And then David Brain, Michelle, Alex. Yeah, it's lovely to see you all. And thank you for all the love and support over the years. And yeah, I want to also thank everyone who helped me within a bind. Although I feel like that should come later because that's going to be a couple of hours in and of itself. And I will have probably some time to fill later. But yeah, I'm going to really try to finish up within the next 10 minutes so I can have a bit of a break. I want to thank Ben Neumann before they come. I want to thank Rob Harris for making Playtest 2K. I want to thank everybody who playtested this. I want to thank people who did things that they normally wouldn't agree to do, like doing actual sit-ups in the pub. I'm not exaggerating. I got people to touch parts of their bodies, balance cards on themselves, and then do sit-ups, or hop around the table, or give high fives. And it used to be a lot crazier. And I would like to help Sugarmick make a small 16 card. This is, do not play these cards because they are a ridiculously crazy expansion. I mean, Yogi Guru, I basically pushed it as far as I could recommend that people actually play. But things like, okay, hopping around the table, that is pretty funny, but I don't recommend that anyone play that in any serious setting. That is liable to cause injury. But still, I almost feel like it should exist. Yeah. uh, yeah. So that is my recap and everything. Thank you to everyone who playtested it. This is a game that puts a lot of people out of its comfort zone. Thank you to everyone who supported me. I'm going to share a screen. Let me bring up an In a Bind Kickstarter. Why am I not seeing it? Well, here we are. Maybe I should show that off. I did say I was going to finish in 10 minutes. And I want to just... Wait, is this actually... Yeah, there we go. Am I muted? Yep, I am. And so let me start sharing my screen so you can see. That's Patrick, that's Daniel Barker, Gwen Mott, Leo Marshall, people who did so much help. That's Gotcha Balkan and Gwen Mott. That's Makeda. This entire video was basically shot in the home in which I used to live. I made a big meal for everyone, so I enticed everyone with food. And yeah, there's good times. And I know some people didn't want to come because they weren't super happy appearing on video. But yeah, special thank you to these people. And also you can see there were 173 backers. And that is a great number. And wait, you can't see 173. But thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone who managed to make this happen. Because honestly, this game, Yogi, this is the reason why I am able to be a full-time game designer / publisher. I did this game and it was successful. It's allowed me to get into shops because it's a good game and I worked hard on it, and maybe I did some good thinking on it, and I did some good refining on the basic rules. And there's copyrighted backs of the cards using Black Lotus magic things. Yeah, if you want to listen to the music of this, there is an actual kind of rap song which you can hear. I might actually unmute my video. In a pub or a train, but maybe not in the carriage that's meant to be quiet. It's all these people, thank you. And let's see. And yeah, there are so many people I would like to thank. I would like to thank Maggie Rostron for sharing it, Liz and Miquette for emotional support. Yeah, Alan Paul, and yeah, thank you everyone who supported me over the years. It's been awesome. And that's me off. I'm going to be back at 2 p.m.ish. And I think there is only one thing left to do. And let me check if there is anything I've forgotten. Thank you, everyone. Please feel free to share the word. My next streams, boom, boom, boom. Oof. Well, let me delete this. Friday, today, 1 p.m. I'm going to be coming back. So I am going to be right here on your screens, 1 p.m. chatting, and then 2 p.m. is the highlights of the day. We're going to be playing in a bond. We will see how it goes. We will play in a bond every single day at 2 p.m. And at 3 p.m. we'll have a quick prize draw. Someone will win something that I made of their choice. And there is going to be all sorts of things happening. And there is only one thing left to do. And that one thing left to do is to say bye, 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 bye. This is the goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye, 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 bye. This is the goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. But now it's time to go. Bye-bye, everybody.